All right, hello everybody. Welcome to our webinar. Today's all about successful planning with the SKETCHUP software and the 3D Flexpipe Creator extension. Happy to be here today again. Esteban here from Flexpipe, sharing information today. So today's all about learning a little bit more about what can be done using SKETCHUP, and a big part of that is using it for layout planning. So today we have a special guest who's going to be telling us a little bit about his journey. A few things we want to mention in today's case: we're using the Flexpipe Creator extension to draw structures that we're going to be introducing them as components into today's example. So again, we're using the extension to make those structures components, okay? So for the layout, again, that's one of the main takeaways from there. Also, real quickly, we have a new update for the extension. So it's going to be great. It's going to be available tomorrow. And then that way you can have it for the weekend and check it all out. Again, the new extension is going to be all about surfaces, so creating surfaces even easier. So can't wait to see that. For today, let's make sure we turn our cameras off and we keep our mics off during the webinar. We'll be able to answer questions through the chat during the webinar. So if you have a question, just write it down in the chat. And then we'll be posting links throughout the presentation through the chat as well as we do the presentation today. Okay, guys. So finally, everything the webinar is going to be available on YouTube. So once it's all recorded, everything will be together, all available through the YouTube channel. All right, guys. So with that being said, let's begin. All right, so with us is Mohammed Azuz. He is the Continuous Improvement Manager for Royal Container, and it's a pleasure to be here with Mohammed today. And we're going to be talking about his layout, future planning, how he was able to get to where he is today. And if you could just share with us a little bit of your background as far as when you started using Flexpipe, SKETCHUP, and basically the journey that it's taken to where you are today.
Yes, well, it's good to be with you. I've been with Royal Containers for 5 years, just over 5 years, and I joined the continuous improvement efforts. We were running the program through Brampton, the Brampton site, and I had the pleasure of meeting you guys. Like we did a plant tour in 2019, and it was my first time meeting you. We went over, some basic Flexpipe orientation, and during that orientation, you showed me the SKETCHUP program, and I was intrigued by it, and I was looking forward to using the Flexpipe Creator on the software. It kind of made sense for us later on to use it for other purposes. As I was kind of building my skill in knowledge and confidence using the tool, it became a major planning tool for things to come.
Right on. So exactly, right. You began with a training. I remember going to your facility, the older facility. And then from there, I remember doing web sessions. We ended up going back. I did another Kaizen. And then the last one that we did was actually here at Flexpipe, where you with some of your coworkers came in a few weeks back and had a good time there as well. And this is where you were able to show us this plan that we're going to be using today for the webinar. So I'm going to go ahead and put it, pull it up right now. So we'll go ahead and share the, see my screen here, yes? So yes. Again, this is a very, very advanced, although it may seem very complicated, you took your steps to get to this point. It wasn't suddenly everything is just laid out in all one shot. So the first thing that we need to understand is that you do have experience, you've gained experience, you've been able to now take it a step further with basically making sure that your fundamentals are there, right? If we think about what you did here, let's zoom in real quick. You came in because I'll zoom in a little bit slower, and I'll go ahead and just look for a particular station here, maybe something in Flexpipe. Ideally, we're showing you how to use this so that you can draw structures with Flexpipe. What's a good area here that we can see? Let me see. Sorry, I just had a brain freeze here. I just saw something. Well, for example, here we go. So now we're just going to zoom in a little bit slowly, and then we can see here, these are your, essentially their components, which is something that we're going to be talking about. But prior to bringing them into this layout, you drew them separate from this, so they're their own independent files, so that we keep things simple, and then you bring them into here. The beauty about what you did here is that you used a AutoCAD DWG file. Is that correct?
Yes. So like normally, we just recently moved into this facility, but normally
Right.
you have a like an AutoCAD drawing of like existing already. So the one rule of thumb when it comes to using SketchUp or like the Creator app, one thing I've learned is never never reinvent the wheel, right? Because
Yes.
if there is an existing resource, you want to take advantage off of that. For some people, it might just be enough just to throw the floor plan in there and then put their structures on. If you don't really care about the third dimension, it would be obviously advantageous to know your heights and the
Right.
machines and all that stuff, right? But if you have flex pipe structures, you just simply want to know whether they fit right in the space given or the allocated space. This is a pretty good way to plan for future projects.
Yeah, so let's be realistic, right? Let's address the elephant in the room, and that is basically time-wise. Yes, this is not something that took 5 minutes for Mohammed. This has been an ongoing, continuous progress, right? Basically, you've been able to put time a little bit here, a little bit there, bigger blocks of hours, less, depending on what your schedule is like. But you've been able to systematically take a nice slow approach in order to be able to get here. With this plan now, since you've taken such a good time, such a good way of, or rather organizing it, is that now if you have any questions, or if anybody else in your facility has any questions, they can just open this up and there's a full plan with everything and anything they can possibly think, or they might not even realize is there, but it's here. So now you can really move and play chess, right? Now you can move pieces and really get a better understanding of what impact that may cause, right? So the beauty is that SketchUp is user friendly, right? So yes, you can add the AutoCAD files. Of course, there's ways of doing it. There's little details which we can always help you out with, right? We need to figure the size of it, right? We don't want to we want to make sure that it's a component being added as opposed to individual lines, so that it's, again, keeping the file size a little bit bigger, because as we begin to move this around, we can see that if we begin to go a little bit too fast, we'll get, it may freeze, or it may take a little bit of time for it to load up. So a lot of the little tips and tricks also could be coming here and thinking about the edge style, and maybe deselecting a couple of the other ones so that it's not as demanding on the SketchUp, right? But again, from there, one of the main reasons also why we're adding those components is to be able to minimize those file sizes as well. And then from there, you're using different groups, right? So we can see here as I begin to move up, we can see that I'm able to separate the different parts. So again, this is different groups that are are making all this happen. So just a bunch of individual puzzle pieces that can help you out, right?
Yes, and I think
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I think that like you're kind of hitting the nail on the head right there, because when you are inexperienced with SketchUp, the first thing you do is you create everything as one big structure, and you don't
Right.
want to do that, because you want the flexibility to be able to move things around. And
Yes.
if you select any of those machines that are their own components, they can move around in the space, and this is how we planned the entire facility. So we know the footprint of the machine, and the machine doesn't have to be as detailed as such.
Right.
But just moving them around, if things will fit or not. That's the first step, and the second is to optimize the space to the best benefit
Mm-hmm.
of the operation, right? Like so, things that you will keep in mind is the operators, ergonomics, the safety aspect, the flow of things,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah,
These are all
spacing.
things to consider, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's beautiful here. We see this top view right now of the in parallel projection. We can see space-wise. We can see the forklift. We can, we can move. We can really manipulate all the different items, like you said, to be able to really understand and be able to answer some questions that may you might just have at the tip of your tongue, and just by looking at this and just putting it on the other side, it just gives you that quick decision-making factor where you're able
Yes.
to go ahead and, okay, let's go for it, right? That's really the beauty. You mentioned here, um, again, we're having individual components. Some of those different components that you have in here are components that, again, your company had files already drawn for particular models or the machines that you're using, or we're drawing components, right? We're drawing even the SketchUp, even the structure, well, the structures that we make using the Flexpipe Creator. We can
Mhm.
right click and make those components so that they come in as a single entity, right? Because the thing that we need to understand is that SketchUp is reading all the lines that it takes to create every single item in here. So if it's just, I think of it this way, I think of a component as something that I put inside of a box, and then this box is really the information that SketchUp is going to read from there on forth. So if I
Yes.
really want the true information, I go back to the original drawing. But since this is layout and it's just basically props, then I can just use the outside shell, if you will, to visualize what's going on. So that example, we don't need to understand all the details inside of this particular forklift, right? We can just basically know that is a forklift and that's the shape that SketchUp wants to know. Again, so that we're able to manipulate a lot easier. Um, when we talk about that, we're talking about basically creating components that, again, we're going to show real quickly a video to show what components are and how those are getting introduced. But the same thing is just we're dragging and dropping those in. Uh, what I do want to mention is I'm going to drag out the extension creator here. And basically, if we click on the catalog, this is one way of approaching this, right? Basically, we can find, if I open this up a little bit bigger, maybe not all people, actually probably a lot of people may not realize this, but we already have a lot of components already added in the extension. So they may not be exactly pertaining they may not be for purchasing, but they're great for visual references, right? So if we look at some of the add-ons in the drop downs, right, add-ons not available for purchase, but again, they are there for a lot of different information. Maybe I'm looking for some type of a tool or a visual aid. I can click on the available ones here.
Hmm.
And then again, something as simple as maybe even this one here, right? A visual for the ergo, the heights. We have steel racking, very ordinary steel racking. All these items here can essentially be we'll just grab something really small here just so that it doesn't make too much of a difference. But again, here we can see that we're dropping it in, and then we can go ahead and scale this to size or whatever the case may be. Let me just minimize this for a second. So we can see here that now we have an item that we can always scale to size if we needed to, or whatever the case, depending on how you introduced your AutoCAD file, right? So that's
Yes.
a nice thing about the catalog. Again, that's one of the tools that we're using in the Flexpipe Creator is the catalog. So check it out there because those are available. So why do I mention this one actually, Mohammed, so that people know is that um, the thing with the next way to introduce components is basically using the 3D warehouse. But the 3D warehouse is essentially part of the licensing. Is part of the. It comes with the license, rather. Sorry, of SketchUp. So if you have the Pro version, then you're able to go ahead and use the 3D warehouse. But if you're just using the simplified 2017 version of SketchUp, then it's not a bad idea to go ahead and open up the catalog within FlexPipe to be able to go ahead and check out a lot of those aids that maybe are available through the warehouse, but since you don't have a license, you're not going to be able to get into your drawing. This way, you're able to do so straight from here, click, drag and drop. So that's a good way to go ahead and let everybody know that that's available. And now, if you do have So I'll break away from that and I'll go into the extension, excuse me, the window here. We can go to the 3D warehouse. So now again, I'll put up the links as well for the 3D warehouse. And this is the 3D warehouse here, which is part of the license with SketchUp Pro. Here, we're doing what we were doing with that library. It's just that here we have a lot more options. So now we can go find tools if we wanted to. Um, we can check into the models, right? Again, this is everybody, everybody who contributes to SketchUp. Anybody can draw something and add it on. So again, we have all kinds of information here that we can go ahead and click and go ahead and be able to download depending on what you're doing. So those are two different ways. And then again, if you wanted to, you can also draw it yourself and add as much detail as you would like. So here, actually, if you look for Flexpipe, we should be able to find also some connectors and some items that some of the individuals may have drawn using SketchUp. So using, excuse me, the Flexpipe Creator along with the SketchUp. So you can see here that they have drawn some structures using Flexpipe. However, you're not going to be able to, well, actually, if they were drawn with SketchUp, you might be able to go ahead and modify those as well using the extension. But I'm assuming since they're coming from this catalog, it might be a different approach to it. It might just be a component. But again, we can always go back to the Flexpipe Creator and draw from scratch if we needed to, or download structures from the website as well. My main point here is just to let you guys know that you can have the access through the warehouse by having a professional license. And then from there, like I said, we can go ahead and even do, even if you needed to maybe, Mohammed, somebody might be looking for a building or something that they can use as a reference. So all of these items are available through the 3D warehouse if you have the licensing. Okay, so that's one of the reasons, one of the pros and one of the reasons why you might want to go ahead and think about opting for the license once you've gone through the free version and you want to get into something like what Mohammed is doing here, which is, just a little, this is taking it one step further for sure. And for this, you need the right tools, right? And that's part of it. So, um, really, really cool. Mohammed, I want to talk about, okay, so we mentioned there the sources, right? We just want to take away there, 3D Warehouse, the Flexpipe Creator extension library, and also any drawings that you want to go ahead and
Definitely
create.
take advantage of whatever resources you have available. You don't if you can minimize the time you spend on drawing every single aspect of your model. I would highly recommend that. The only thing I would warn if you're off if you're using the warehouse, sometimes the things that you download have so many polygons and things that could be demanding on your computer. So
Right.
just always when you check for one of those components, always look at the number of polygons used in it. Like it shows right there, right before you download. And if the higher that number, the more demanding it will be. So this is a building or a factory. I
Right.
can't really tell, but so obviously it will have a high number. So that's one thing to keep in mind before you go ahead and download. But other than that, man, a forklift is a forklift, a skid is a skid, and a rack is you might just have to modify the dimensions of it just to be accurate. But other than that, it just
Right.
presents well, right?
So yes, exactly. So you can yourself also minimize the size of the file. You can open it up, you can get inside of it and essentially delete the items that you don't really need because again, we're looking for visual representation of overall external footprints, right? We don't
Yes.
really necessarily need, unless it's something that is pertaining to that. But for
Yes.
for the layout that we're looking at, we just want to see 3D shapes and then the actual size of what they're doing. So yes, there's ways, and then there's also, we're gonna load up after the webinar. We're gonna have a bunch of links that you can go ahead and reference, and they're for SketchUp, for Flexpipe, for models, for all the different things that we're talking about today. So it's really nice. Also, this is some for a separate subject, but regardless, you do want to go ahead and know that before you get into making tags and scenes and putting in different layers, ideally you want to have components to be able to add to those. We don't want to go ahead and add exploded exploded shapes where all the lines are being counted into scenes and layers. We want to already have established that it's very important to put them as components already. Essentially, like we said, make a GIF, wrap it, and give that as the components. So really nice takeaway there. And then actually here, so let's go ahead and now talk about why are we doing this at Mohammed? Cost savings, right? At the end of the day, this is really all about making sure that it makes sense, right? So you've realized that for you guys, it makes sense because it's also helped you save some along the way, right? Which is at the end, every dollar counts. So I've zoomed in a little bit here because I want you to just give me a little bit explanation of this particular area and what it was before in your old facility and what it is now in the new facility based on this layout that you've done for us.
So we had a carousel system for our dies, and it was kind of a slow, antiquated system. We wanted to see if there could be an improvement on it, and the improvement in this case is actually kind of going back to basics and just doing a simple rack, right? So we just utilized the space that was available there. You can see the rack above and below the mez there, and we just got an engineering approval, and just we compared the costs between moving the existing carousel motorized system versus just a static, high density rack, if you will. And
really simplified.
Yeah, simplified. The difference in cost was $23,000 versus $200,000 plus.
Okay, so real quick there, let's pause there because that sounds like a pretty good note to make there. Basically, your old machine, right? It was a motorized machine. So in order to be able to grab that and bring it over, is going to cost you guys $200,000 to do this, which now you said, no, that sounds like a little bit crazy, right? That sounds exaggerated. So what you can do, you went to the plan and you try to figure something out. So what was the result and how much did it cost you at the end?
Yeah, it was, so the total cost was $23,000, including engineering approval. So everything in was just a huge improvement in terms of the number of dies that we can fit. We lost the mechanized part, but the motorized carousel had its drawbacks as well, and we couldn't fit as many dies as we wanted to. Like you had like in that particular space, right? So that gave us
this area,
that gave us a high density option, which worked quite well for the guys.
Sorry, real quick, sorry for interrupting, just so that if people are wondering what those dies are, I'm pretty sure you had some around.
So those are print dies.
These are print dies, so these are
think
different.
of them as heavy coats. That's the closest thing to them. So they're made of photopolymer, and they can weigh quite a bit individually. Now, what we have done in here in order to ensure that there's no safety problems is we mandated that the smaller dies go upstairs and the heavier dies are downstairs.
Okay, so that's a nice thought there, right? Ergonomics, thinking what's going to be the best overall, right, for the individuals, for placing stock, everything that has to be involved with all that movement. Again, thinking lighter on top, heavier on the bottom. It works great with carts, and it works just the same with flooring and different sections of a building, right?
And at the bottom, the carts are just waiting for the guys to transfer those over to the machine centers. So the Flexpipe carts are kind of stacked up there. They're not showing in the drawing in here. But that's something I'm going to add because they do exist in reality.
But that's it. So then you have a lot of different items there as well. But yeah, that is a huge takeaway, and that is really, really interesting that you've mentioned, and that you're so honest and upfront with everybody, right? Because here you're basically sharing a big part of of Royal Containers. So it's
Yes.
great that you're able to. The way I see it is that everybody's in it, and we're all trying to basically, like I said, share knowledge through information. To me, it's
Yes.
like the more I know, the more I'm going to give to you, and and that's just basically it. It's just spreading it so that everybody can find it an easier way if they ever have to. So that's really one of the reasons why we're doing this webinar, and why I found it interesting that we share with everybody, and that you're so welcoming and sharing that with us. So again, a lot of different things. So today we're not really trying to show you how to break it all down individually. For that, we like Mohammed already knows, we have web sessions, we have away trainings, we have trainings at Flexpipe. They all have their benefits, depending on what you're doing and your time availability and where you are, and access and all those different things. But if you can find us either way, through the web sessions, through the online training, right, through the uh, away trainings where we come to your facility, or you come here like Mohammed did for the last training there, and they had a real blast. They were able to, again, get real-time information, real-time answers by seeing how we do it at Flexpipe, and then really understanding how much or what it really takes as far as time-wise, from conceptualizing to drawing to cutting, putting it together, modifying it, and then fixing it back up again. So it seems like a long, but if you do it, if you focus on the fundamentals, you'll be able to go ahead and do that. And it's just repetition, right, Mohammed? It's just once you do it, you're going to do it again and again, and it just starts to get a little bit easier as you begin to do it.
Absolutely, yeah. And
So, yeah, go ahead.
like taking advantage of the training, I think is the first step. And like when if you're attending a training session, whether at Flexpipe headquarters or at your facility or online, just soak up the knowledge in there. Esteban is quite versed in this. Space. So and he doesn't spare. Sorry, I'm talking about you in the third person, but you don't spare any like effort or hold back knowledge. As people are willing to receive information, you're very willing to provide all the
No,
information
I
they need.
appreciate it. Like I said, I'm humble, but like I tell you, I've told everybody, and I'll keep telling everybody, everybody's my teacher. And that's the idea here. It's just not to be greedy and just give out information. Ideally, I want you to do it better than I do it, essentially. That's really, you surprised me with this beautiful layout here, and it got me thinking, and it got my motor running as well. So I was like, oh man, if Mohammed is doing this, then I got to step up my game now. So basically, I took it as a very nice positive challenge to go ahead and say, okay, Steb, let's get back into it, because this is really cool. And eventually, Mohammed, what I want to tell everybody is that with the way things are going, essentially, we're at a point now where we can grab a virtual headset, put it on, and walk through that entire facility if you really needed to, with your client or whoever's on the other side of the world that needs to understand. Maybe it's a distributor of a particular machine, right?
Yeah.
At some point, we're going to be able to just put those on, walk through there, and everybody's can even do this meeting could essentially be done in that virtual background, if you will, within that facility, which is cool. And I think it's something that we'll probably go ahead into in the next few years for sure. So
Yes.
key takeaways, Mohammed, key takeaways from today, like you said, basically take advantage of all the different tools that we have, right? For me, these are all tools. So what do you want to let everybody know as far as the main, let's say, three takeaways that we can leave people with today?
So first of all, start simple, start small.
Yes.
Big things have small beginnings, and don't get discouraged. I would say reach out for help. The most important thing is the first steps. So use the Flexpipe Creator. It's very very simple, and it will make you feel good about yourself. Use the free aids in there, and reach out to someone like Esteban. Ask questions, watch some YouTube videos. Like it's up to you to simplify the process and not make it very overwhelming. And if you get frustrated, just let it go and go have a, like take a walk or whatever, come back to it. This is the only way to move forward.
This is true. If you feel you're getting too much, that's it. Just back away from it. I always mention that even to myself. Until this day, I do that. Sometimes you get you try to go too fast forward on it, and then you end up making silly mistakes. But the planning is there. The proof is in the pudding. You've mentioned a huge number. You went from 200,000 just on one particular area to 23,000. That is a huge change, let alone everything else that's happening around that entire place. So I would assume that there's a lot of happy folks at Royal Container for doing this in this particular way. Really quickly though, you did mention your plan. You're getting those approved by engineers. You're getting those approved by the individuals that need to make sure that everything is working correctly and it makes sense, right? Up to code.
Well,
and all these different things.
if you're doing anything structural, right? Excuse me, except for a flex pipe structure or whatever, which is going to be fine.
Right.
You need engineering approval.
Okay, so that's another good takeaway there. And
sorry.
So that's we're gonna wrap it up there, Mohammed. But I think it's a great example of what can be done, what can be done, and how far you can take it, and you can take it even farther away. So we're gonna go ahead and break away from our interview here to go ahead and now answer questions live. So Mohammed, it's been a pleasure. I thank you so much for essentially the friendship that we have gained. And like I said, anything I know, I'm going to make sure to shoot it your way. And I would like essentially for you to do the same my way. And that is how we're basically making progress all around, is to be able to share all this information. So again, I thank you, and I appreciate you letting us have a look at your facility and then all that wonderful information that you have also shared with us today. So we're going to go ahead and take away it from here. But once again, thank you so much, Mohammed. And now we're going to go ahead and do the Q&A. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and use your mic, or you can go ahead and type them in your chat. Okay, guys? So
Thanks
take care,
me.
Mohammed. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your support.
All right, guys, so there we go. Hope you guys enjoyed that there with Mohammed. A lot of useful information there. Real quickly, we have a question here in the chat. It was the pros and cons of the SketchUp versus SolidWorks. Again, this could be a highly debatable thing here, but essentially SketchUp is just a really simplified version. SolidWorks can do many other things. Again, I think more than anything is just pricing wise. The license for SketchUp is a few hundred, and then I think that for SolidWorks it's a few thousand. So again, you're getting a lot with SolidWorks as well, but a really simplified, user friendly is SketchUp, and I think anybody can really begin with that. So hope you guys enjoyed that great talk there. If you guys have any questions or anything else, again, excuse me, we have the mic or the chat if you wanted to go ahead and ask anything else. Also, let's not forget, all the links are available. So again, we're going to be able to upload all that information. We'll have that video ready for you in the YouTube as well. So you can have all the links there. And then that's it. Basically, web sessions, trainings, whatever the case, you guys know where to find us. Let's see here. So we have a question here. Do you have any tips or pitfalls to avoid when first setting up your layout? Again, just basically really simplifying it and making sure that you have if you're going to draw your layout, start from zero and already make that a component. And then save that as an individual file. And then from there, open up a different component and be able to drag and drop that one into it, as well as all the different structures that you may want to be using as well, or just getting a simple DWG file and then just importing it. There's tons of information with the links we provided that can show you all the little different examples as well. But that's it, just keeping it simple. Try not to overload it, try not to bombard it with all the information, just very little bit at a time, progression. So this way you really have time to organize all the different components together. So last thing I wanted to mention was just take advantage of the trainings, guys. And again, all the links are available. So hope everybody enjoyed that. And then I'll see you guys for the next webinar. If you have any suggestions, go ahead and let us know as well. Always looking for ideas. Yes, sir.
There is a question, is it possible to export a SolidWorks model into a SketchUp?
That right there, I believe with the different types of SolidWorks, what has to be done is that it needs to go through a converter first. So there's all kinds of different online converters that can essentially help you transfer the information. But since we're switching from different programs, some of that information does get lost. So again, you do have to spend a little bit of time reading up about it from your end to really understand, because even with the DWG files that we introduce, we have to learn about scaling them, and there's a particular ways to do that. So you do have to spend a little bit of time to make sure that it goes in correctly, but you're not going to get all the information that you would expect like when you're clicking on SolidWorks, right? And it gives you all of that information from the components and then all of that. So it's, again, very simplified. So you're not going to be able to read all of the information, but again, you're just getting like the outside shape of the information for SolidWorks. But it's just checking, making sure that the different converters online.
Question.
Yes.
It's actually a question to Mohammed, but if he's already left, maybe you can ask ask him later, or maybe you can, you know, the answer. So he has pretty big layout, and he's kind of a champion in the company to create that. Who is maintaining this layout after it's been done? I do believe some stuff move already over. That's question number one. And question number two, how many people in the company are trained to use SketchUp and trained to use Flexpipe? Because in many cases, you have some sort of knowledge erosion, person leaving company, and then you have like maybe nice layout, but it's outdated, 2 years, nobody actually maintain it and add stuff.
Yeah, that's a very good, that's great questions. And yeah, we're definitely going to have to touch base with Mohammed to get a better answer for you. But I'm very interested in finding out those questions there, because I think it's good information that can help you also take you to the next step and help everybody out, actually. So just go ahead and put your email there, write it down so that we can go ahead and send you that information. And if anybody else wants to know the answer as well, go ahead and send us your emails, because we'll definitely go ahead and touch base with Mohammed for that one. All right, is there anybody else that any questions? Oh, guys, before I forget, okay, don't forget, right, the extension, the update on the Flexpipe Creator extension. So now we're going to be able to basically just include surfaces and be able to add the surface information needed for the bill of material. Very, very easy, just with the click of a button, essentially making the different preferences, selecting the preferences, and that's going to help us. So again, it's going to be very useful for everybody, and that download will be available, I believe, by tomorrow afternoon. So go ahead and get on that, and don't forget, and basically take it for a run and let us know. I can't wait to see you know, how simpler it does get, because that's one of the big obstacles with the structures and the extension. So this is going to be a great plus for everybody to take advantage of. All right, guys, so basically that's it for today. You know, if anything else, you know where to find us. So happy holidays, everybody.